This is Italo's home office space and music studio, and it could use an upgrade. As someone who works from home myself, like him, I understand how a beautiful and organized workspace can boost productivity and inspiration, especially if creativity is involved. As it happens, Italo is my husband, and this room is in our apartment in Vancouver. So join me as I redesign this multifunctional space to make it more inviting and reflective of his personality using Coohom's online tool. And stick around until the end for the full cost breakdown to execute this project. Let's start by analyzing the current layout. The room is 2.86 meters wide and 3.45 meters long, with high 3-meter ceilings and a window that overlooks our living room. On this wall, there's his standing desk from IKEA and all his gear. And close to the opposite wall, there's a shelving unit that displays some books, pictures, and Funko figures. And right next to it, there's the electric drum kit, which I also play, by the way. His guitars don't have a dedicated spot, so they usually sit in a corner of the room. And there are also other items that need to be addressed, such as this old office chair and all these picture frames that need to be hung. While there is nothing inherently wrong with this layout, it lacks personality and organization, and I do believe it could be optimized. So let's go over his and some of mine wish list for the space. The acoustics of this apartment are particularly bad, which means I can hear pretty much everything that happens inside that room, even when the door and windows are closed. So it would be great to have some kind of soundproofing. He would like to display his guitars instead of keeping them in the cases. He needs a moody environment to be productive and feel inspired. It would be great if this room also served as a guest bedroom so we could host friends and family. And all improvements have to be renter-friendly and preferably easy to execute. With these considerations, it's time to start designing. As usual, my first step is to create the floor plan and 3D representation of the room's current layout in Coohom, the online tool I use from start to finish to create my projects. I'll leave the link in the description. It's super useful to have the 3D version of the room I'll be designing, even for my own home, since it's so much easier to move objects and furniture pieces virtually than in real life. This way I can experiment with different layouts using the items that are already in the space, and be certain about the measurements of the new ones I want to add, especially in a room that serves multiple purposes like this one. So that's just what I did. After trying a couple of different layouts, I realized the drum kit seemed to be in an ideal spot. It's the largest item in the room and also the most complex, with its various parts. So placing it in a corner seems the best option to optimize the use of space. And this is the only free corner of this room, since this wall is mainly occupied by the closet doors. As for the desk, if I placed it against this wall, Italo would have his back facing the door at all times, which is not ideal. So I decided to keep it where it is. While it's very common to see shelving units placed against walls, this is far from the only option. In fact, getting creative about the placement of furniture pieces in a room is often what makes it more interesting. That's why I decided to place this shelving unit right at the entrance of the room next to the desk, so it creates a nice separation between the door and the office space, and frees up this wall, which can be better utilized. This created the perfect spot to place a sofa bed for guests. Based on the size of the gap, something like this one from IKEA would be a great fit, with a simple and compact design, and 142 centimeters of width. I didn't find the exact model, but this one seems close enough. When extended, its total length is 188 centimeters, which still fits the space if we move the chair to the side. With this layout, the room looks more functional and organized, while still leaving enough room for circulation and to open the closet doors. Now it's time to make it beautiful. Before starting, I like to browse for some inspiration on Pinterest. Since I'm going for something moody, I think painting the walls a dark green or blue would look great and bring that music studio feel to the space. But I settled on green based on Italo's personal preference. At first, I thought about painting all walls and ceiling to achieve the color-drenched look which is very trendy right now. But we didn't want to modify the doors to avoid issues with the apartment owners since we're renting, and being the only white elements in the room, they didn't produce the effect we wanted. That's why I decided to paint just the walls and leave the ceiling white. This already made such a difference, but the room still needed more personality. Modular wooden panels are very trendy right now, and I thought they would look great to frame the desk and bring more interest to this wall. But since the green of the walls is so beautiful, I didn't want to cover it, so instead of panels, I opted for wood slats that extend from floor to ceiling. To create even more interest in this space, I made the wood slats continue all the way to the opposite wall across the ceiling. This solution can be made renter-friendly by using multiple command strips to install the slats on the walls and ceiling. They can be easily removed with no damage to the paint below. It's amazing how decorating the ceilings makes such a difference to a space and is frequently overlooked. To complement the green of the walls, I decided to replace the white rug that is currently in the space with a classic red rug, such as this 8 by 10 inch one from Ruggable. By covering the whole room with just one big rug, the space feels bigger and more cohesive, while bringing in a lot of style. I ended up keeping the small black rug below the drum kit to prevent it from sliding. While adding more soft elements to the room, such as the sofa bed and the larger rug, should help absorb some of the sound, the acoustics of the room still need to be addressed. As a solution, I went for floor-to-ceiling curtains that cover this whole wall and window. Choosing a thick fabric or even using 2 layers of curtains should significantly reduce the amount of sound that passes through, while creating a more suitable environment inside the room to record instruments and singing. To finish the design, I hung the 3 picture frames on the wall above the drum kit and also mounted the 3 guitars to the wall. Finally, I added cordless rechargeable wall sconces above each guitar to serve as spotlights, a desk lamp on the desk, installed an LED strip behind the desk, and a corner floor lamp to create that nice and direct light mood. Then it was time to render. This seems like a different room after all the changes. Painting the walls and adding the wood slats completely transformed the space, while moving the shelving unit to serve as a room divider created the perfect spot to place a sofa bed for guests. This now feels like a proper home music studio, with the guitars mounted to the wall and curtains to help with the acoustics, and it is definitely more inspiring to work in here than in the white box from before. Throughout this process, I created a list with all the necessary items to make this room come to life, and this is the final cost breakdown, considering we kept all the original furniture pieces except for the old office chair that will be donated. Hopefully we get to execute this project soon, but for now, it's great to see the potential this room has to offer. I hope you enjoyed going through this design process with me and that you can use some of these ideas for your own designs. Before leaving, please leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel so I can continue to share more of these makeovers with you. If you'd like to further support the channel, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description box or this QR code right here. And if you liked this video, you would probably like to watch this one next. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time.